It angers me terribly that we don't know the truth. And the arrogance of those in power that continue the cover-up and the lie is beyond tolerance.
We're not a free country anymore because the people who are smart enough and powerful enough to take out a president like that and get away with it for 25 years are probably involved in other areas of the government. In other words, the country is being run by people we did not vote for.
If it could be done to John F. Kennedy in 1963, it could be done to another president in the future. And we can't afford to have coups d'etats in America, no matter how cleverly orchestrated and sinisterly contrived they may be. That cannot be permitted to happen. And the way in which you prevent that from happening is to expose those elements of government and society in this country that were responsible for the killing of John F. Kennedy. I think it's extremely important for the American people to know that there can be the overthrow of a government, that there can be a coup d'etat in America, that in fact did happen through the assassination of President Kennedy. In order to prevent that kind of thing from happening again, in order to expose the forces that were responsible for that kind of murder and the kind of cover-up that has ensued in the following 25 years, it's necessary to expose it. Otherwise, we can have the same thing repeated again. Therefore, in the same fashion that we have exposed problems and scandals involved with Watergate, problems in Vietnam, problems in Central America, problems in the overthrow of governments elsewhere like Allende in Chile, and on and on and on, so must we expose that same kind of political assassination in our country. As painful as it may be, as disruptive as it might be in a transitory nature, as embarrassing as it might be to certain individuals and organizations in the United States government, that has to be uncovered. If they were able to do it to John F. Kennedy then, they could do it to some other president in the future.
We have the right to know the truth. If we don't have the truth, everything we build on is a lie. It's like building a building on a false foundation. Sooner or later, it's going to crumble.
I think we must know what happened in November 22, 1963, in order to be a democracy today. And until the truth is told about that day, then we don't know that they're telling the truth today.
It is important to all of us to find out what really happened to President Kennedy, because what happened to him could happen to anybody else. If a conspiracy can kill the President of the United States, who among us is safe?
If they lied to us, how much are they lying to us in other areas? And if they're lying to us, can they do it again and again and again? And if so, this is not a democracy. This is a hierarchy, a government or a people ran by certain powerful individuals who have the ability to dispose of anyone who's not going along the party line, so to speak. Not a whole lot different from what I was taught occurred in the USSR all these many years. The truth is the most important thing.
Lee Oswald was totally, unequivocally, completely innocent of the assassination. And the fact that history, or in the rewriting of history, and disinformation has made a villain out of this young man who wanted nothing more than to be a fine Marine, is in some ways the greatest injustice of all.
I sincerely believe that what we have done in the past as a nation, overtly and covertly, is a direct reflection on the kind of people that we are. And I feel obligated to help set the record straight so that we know what we are and what are our evils, so we can divest ourselves of those evils and become again a great nation.
But all those lies that have been told to me and to other people, it's a very bad foundation for our society, and nothing based on lies can withstand very long.
I do not want my children and my grandchildren to grow up in a country where the people are lied to or something is covered up. The American people can handle the truth. It's been that way since the day we were born. All we need is the truth. Let's put it to rest.
But the danger of the truth not being known will destroy this nation, actually. They maybe don't believe me, but that's the fact.
If the truth came out today about what really happened, it certainly would be a major embarrassment to a number of political and media figures. And I find that to be a very healthy thing. I think that people in this country should know how the government is able to cover up things that went on, not always by people being guiltily involved, but by just going along with what the government says.
People that you trust betrayed you, the government that you trust, the official that you trust, and they told you blind light, and they knew it. So that kind of betrayal really turned your soul upside down. And for that, I'm angry. For all the Blakeys and Fords and God only knows whom, Posners and mailers who had the opportunity to improve something, and they refused, or sold out, or were weak enough, or whatever. But when that hope is taken away and you reduce human being like me to the level of the animal, even animal can feel. So you expect me not to protest? Sure I do. So that's the reason that I'm here, because nobody have right to play God over somebody else's life. And not just get away with it, but be happy with that kind of power. This is just simply insanity.
When the government engages in the truth-finding process and in some way doesn't tell us the truth, it's violated the very, very precepts upon which this government was founded. And those precepts are found, if one wishes to look, not only in the Declaration of Independence, but in the Constitution, and particularly in the Bill of Rights. That is what guides this government. It is our founding principles. It matters.
I think it is terrible just to know that a nation can have within its own government those kind of evil influences that can cause something like that to happen, and then to cause it to be covered up to the extent that it has been, makes you feel like you're really not in a democracy anymore. A nation is strong when it does things openly, courageously, and according to the law. Amen.
There's no statute of limitations on murder. If they're still continuing to cover it up in 20 more years, that's obstruction of justice. It's a conspiracy. The men who killed Kennedy don't end with the people who pulled triggers. It should be important to all of us that we get to the bottom of this.
Just as John Kennedy's car took an incredible turn when it went onto Elm Street, 300 feet later, our form of government, our way of life, our way of respecting our government, our way of being respected by our government, took that same kind of bizarre wide turn, and we haven't gotten back on the straight and narrow yet.
The Kennedy assassination was the end of faith in government. And so it's up to the little man to fight the odds. Davy Crockett, Sisyphus pushing his rock. Someone has to keep fighting the odds. And even though you know the chances are that you're never going to get a resolution to what you're fighting for, you have to fight for it anyway. Just the principle of justice. Just the principles of American democracy. Don't give up. Keep fighting.
If the presidency of the United States is being decided by bullets fired from rifles rather than ballots cast by citizens, we have indeed been taken over by a whole new form of government.